You're watching the 2nd Division Department of Texas American Legion production. All right, so welcome. This is our first Zoom call for the division to kind of get the dialogue started regarding public relations. And so Amanda Valdez currently serve as the PR officer for the division, have a background in marketing, and wanted to kind of get some discussion going about how I can make a bigger, better contribution by helping to fortify our PR team across the division at the post level, all the way up to the district level and beyond. So thankful to at least have our first supporting folks. Got Mr. John Longerbone with us. He's with Post 164, American Legion, and is an Air Force vet, if I'm still correct, right, John?
That's right.
And we have Miss Lynn Sparks, a fellow Marine, Marine veteran, and very strong stalwart in the veteran community. Her husband, Butch, is on another Zoom call. So I wanted to record this primarily as a primer that we can go back and revisit. And so wanted to start this thing off by at least a get to know you a little bit. And then for the sake of our listeners to be John and Lynn, if you would, ladies first, give everyone a little bit brief on your background, and we'll come back to this may or may not go a full hour, but at least wanted to, again, get some ideas going as to how we can start to plan to create training, showcase what detachments are doing in the division, bring a spotlight to best practices, and then start to build a working model for how we can get our messages out to the local community, the regional community, and even the state. So Lynn, if you would, give us your background.
How far back do we want to go?
Well.
Now, I don't have a strong background in PR, except, I've held just about every position there is to hold at the post level in the American Legion. And I've been commander at the post, district, division, and state level. I was the first woman to be the vice commander of the state in Texas. So I just know more of the hands-on, the day-to-day things. I've mostly been in adjutant work, which is a handful in itself. So it's mostly in that type of work. My civilian life was in accounting, and when I retired from Williams Bailey Law Firm as in the accounting department.
Awesome. Well, your background will help us because we'll know what to say and not say and how to be in compliance, and hopefully keep us out of jail. All right, John.
I'm an Air Force veteran. I served 4 years active, 2 years reserve from 68 to 72. Get out, returned to finish my undergraduate degree, and then went on to law school at Hastings in San Francisco. Graduated in 79 and went to work in the private sector, where I practiced for 37 years in California. Retired there in 6 years ago. Moved here to Texas. I like to tell Texans that I fled California, so you don't think I'm an interloper. Although, I guess you got to be here longer than that to be considered a real Texan, but that's okay. So my background is basically in litigation. I'm licensed in Texas. I've limited my work here to nonprofit work, to volunteer work, mostly for the Houston Bar Association's a nonprofit. And then I recently joined the Legion. I'm new to the Legion. I was appointed to the communications PR position, and I'm still kind of learning my way around. And I'm hoping this will be really helpful to get that going.
Excellent. Well, we're very blessed to have you. Hi, Roxanne. Can you hear us now? No, you're logging in here.
Oh, yes, I can hear you. I'm in. Thank you.
Hi.
Perfect timing, by the way. We were just doing some general background. So I did my background, Lynn did hers. We are recording this for others so that they can get caught up with what we are going to say tonight. And if you wouldn't mind giving us a little bit about your background.
In terms of Legion or in general, like, how do I answer you?
Sure. As far as, are you a veteran?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. A little bit about your military service and why you joined the Legion and what your role is at your post or district.
Well, I have 14 years. I serve both, and I also serve the department.
I think we met this
Oh, I
this
don't know
summer,
if
didn't
I
we?
froze or you
I think you
froze.
had some strong. Where I think we're
Yes.
we're working it
Yes,
out.
sir, we did.
You had some
Yeah,
radio
yes.
contacts. I remember
So,
out in that area. Okay, great.
yes. I have I was saying I have 14 years in the United States Marine Corps. Air wing and air guard logistics and strategy. That's the simple answer. I hold an AA and a BA. I have 12 years coming out of the Marine Corps in commercial construction project management. And my interest in relocating to Texas and joining the Legion was so that I would have a way to still be in service and heal and do some PTSD personal recovery in a way that made sense. You know, when we can still serve out of the pressure of the uniform, it's a big credit to ourselves and also to the veterans around us. You know, we don't all come home the same. And I just wanted a right good way to keep being part of my community while my uniform was hanging in the closet. What I do for our post and our District 7, I'm our webmaster. So I built a couple websites and I maintain them. And I also am our public relations officer. So I do all of our social media, radio and newspaper and local podcast outreach. And then at the convention we had in July in Austin, I got my first department election. I'm the historian for TexAlpa, so the Texas American Legion Press Association. So that's what I do. I work for the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, and then I do all my volunteer duties serving our Legion.
Wow, that's amazing. That's a great background.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for being a part of this inaugural. So we're like the fire starters here. So we're getting the process going. You know, I served at my local post in Katy. I think that freeze there for a second, and then was working with the district, and then got voluntold to be the second division. So
It's crazy how that happens.
I got an email
It's
from
crazy
Colonel.
how that happens.
So last year I read a book by Peter Drucker called Managing Oneself, and it kind of opened my eyes to, you know, okay, you know, you can volunteer for many things, right? But where are you going to make the biggest contribution? And so I figured, you know what? I think the biggest contribution that I can make is to help fortify and build up our PR team, which will make the commander's job a whole lot easier. And of course, working with teams. Did we lose Roxanne? Maybe for a little bit, but it's still being recorded so she can listen to it later. We can just build a brain trust, if you will. I mean, there's a lot of things we don't need to reinvent the wheel for, because the American Legion does have some tools that we can use and platforms we can use, etc. But there are some new things that are popping up that, you know, people may or may not be talking about as far as the technologies and social medias and ways to fortify our resources to attract the media, right? Because, like, for example, Reach Across America, well, that affects the Legion throughout the district. We don't need to necessarily bombard the media with that, but we do need to figure out how do we bring a spotlight to where the spotlight needs to be brought, if you will. And of course, local media cares more about local stories. So if you have a small town or a small city or even a metropolis, then they're likely to go to where the action is. And so we can work together to figure out, you know, how we draw the media. Of course, there's been a long history with the American Legion way before Andy, before John and myself. So there's things that the posts are already doing, they've done for many years, and we can learn from, you know, their processes, right? To maybe share that with other posts and not reinvent the wheel. So I think we're getting Roxanne back.
Yes.
Okay, you're back. Yay. So I don't know where
Yeah.
I was just kind of giving a quick brief on the vision for collaborating, working with growing our PR team and network, you know, and building, you know, a replacement So met John here recently. So he's kind of where I was with the post at 164, and kind of he's like the Karate Kid, I guess, in the PR world. His background's legal. He's actually got a amazing history in legal from California. And so the first thing that I showed him was how to do a media alert. And I'm probably going to create some modules for some of this stuff where this is how you do a media alert. This is why it's important. And then once that's done, that at least shows up on the media's calendar if they want to cover something, right? So there's different things that we can do tutorials on or modules for, or find resources that are already online that we can just share. What I want to do is maybe have a monthly Zoom call like this and bring
That
in
would be
more
awesome.
voices. Yeah. And then have some guests. There's some people in our networks that are experts at what they do, from photography to social media to TV, radio, event management, event production. And so they're more than willing to at least give us a class, if you will. And again, we can record these and output them and store them on a site. You do websites. Maybe there's a way we create a little page for the PR folks that can quickly catch up with what we're doing. But right now, the floor is open to what your vision might be. And I sent some documents we can look at later. One of them was given to us from the 3rd Division commander, and I just made it ours. And then the other one I just kind of created just as a guide as we go forward, with nothing prescribed, set in motion, set in stone. Other than I'd like to do these Zoom calls regularly as as schedules allow, and then bring in more participants to share in the fun fest, if you will.
That would be really cool.
So you have anybody have any questions or ideas right now for us to chat about, things that are coming up that we need to pay our attention to? And we got Wreaths Across America coming up. I mentioned that, but we're
Yes,
Veterans Day coming up.
and yes, Veterans Day. I know for me at the post level and the district level, this is brand new. I'm an up and comer social media. I'm not a tech generation. I've never in my life ever even built a website until coming into the Legion, and I completely cheated. I used a web builder that's point and click Windows based. So it was, kind of like if you can upload to Facebook, you can point and click on the web builder. And really, literally, that's what I'm learning and growing from. But I have goals for our post, and I have a goal for our district. I would like to learn better, especially being that I'm a California transplant too. My thought process and style of speech sometimes and body language are very much northerner. I'm learning to be a Texan, and the way outsiders are received, there's a big manners thing. There's a big cultural way to approach people thing that is foreign to me. I'm not from here. I wasn't raised here, and I am really wanting to do a better job connecting with our local press. I would like our local news agents that come in from Houston here and there to know us and actually care to engage us, and not be put off. We also have the challenge of District 7. We are the teeny tiny district in the sticks. We're a whole lot of little posts, and we're all miles apart from each other. One of my goals would be to learn how to do it in my neighborhood so that I can teach everyone else to do it in their neighborhood. The best way we can get people to know we exist and get our membership built back and get donations built back is to get out there. That is something I'm struggling with. So I'm always open to suggestion on how to do better and how to get where I want to go.
Well, you're right on target there. So, been saying that, within a 3 to 5 mile radius, I mean, there's a lot of vets around, even if you go a little bit further. On the social media side, there's some like Meetup. Have you used Meetup yet?
I have used Meetup, and I've just started using WhatsApp with a couple different groups that I joined here in Walker County. Our social media is really aggressive. The hardship is not connecting there. The hardship is connecting with the press. Getting news reporters to want to come to our post for an event. We have an event coming up on the 28th. It's a fall festival, and we also do a haunted hayride after dark. Well, this is our second year. We've grown it exponentially from last year. And this is the first event in 2 years that I've actually got our mayor to finally say yes, he would come out to.
How'd you do that? Did you
And
go visit him or email him, call him?
I'm not proud of this, but I'm a Marine before I'm a person, so hopefully we all can be forgiving with me. I called him out. I called him out, and in a very nice email. Our city council, the mayor, and all the council people have a general email box, and they all can check it. And I called him out, and what I did was supply the history of all the events I've invited him to since 2021. And just told him, hey, we are your local veterans, and we are 2/3 of your voting constituency. And a third of us are still actively working here in your prison town for your Texas Department of Criminal Justice. Why don't you come talk to us? What if we don't vote for you? I went there. And because I was ignored for a year and a half, and I started taking it personal. And the response that came back to me was, I will be there. So will my wife. We will bring our kids.
Oh, cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yes,
wondering
so-
whether you made
Go
a
ahead.
friend there or what?
I think I made a friend of me, but
Friend of me. There you go.
I think I made a friend of me, but I also think when he comes and sees the amount of community that's going to come through our property and understands, face to face what his veterans that voted for him are caring about, that maybe we can turn a frenemy-ship into a partnership. That's my
Well,
goal.
politicians are, after all, politicians, and they're looking for votes, and they're looking for
Yes.
support. And
Yes.
if he sees that that's the source of support, he'll be a better friend of me than an enemy.
And you really can't argue with
I
success.
think so.
No,
Now you
you
use
got him out there.
Yeah, you can use, and you use different.
Yes, I
You
did.
could use different tactics for different, people, right? So, like in Katy, we've had the mayor come
Yes,
out.
absolutely. Yes.
The Katy mayor is a vet. Well, the old one was. The new one, I'm not sure if he is or not, or she. But a lot of times too, it's just a phone call. Like Susan Ravenel with the Katy Times, she shows up a lot of
Yeah.
places, and so a lot of times I'll make a point to go say hi to her, and we'll see each other. And sometimes we don't get to say hi, but we at least acknowledge each other. So some strategies would be, to go meet the media person that's in charge of covering vets or covering community or covering religion. It depends on what and they each have different roles, right? And so as you build up your database, that's one of the objectives I think we want to do is build up our database of media contacts. So down here in Houston, for example, Zach Podell is with On Scene TV, and I'd like to bring him on as a guest, but he goes and shows up, and he's working nights, most night, when all the bloodshed is happening, he's out there covering it. And so his brother's a Marine vet. So even though he's not a vet, but I've invested in the relationship with him. So now he knows it's not about me just trying to get him to cover anything. It's more about who he is as a person, because we'll share books and we're going to go shooting and we're going to go hog hunting here pretty soon. So now we're developing a relationship,
That's
right?
awesome.
Yeah. So each media is different.
Yes.
Of course, as you're on scene, you'll see people that show up that are with other networks, or whatever, so get their name and number, because typically they may not have influence, but as far as like they're the ones that's going to make the decision, but they do have influence with like the news editor. Say, hey, there's an event coming up, and because they were on your distribution and they know you, then they're more likely to, and they want good stories. That's the other part too, because there's a lot of people sending them press releases and they're trying to figure out which one do I go to. And so as you build a friend with the mayor, and we have the same thing going on in Houston now. The mayor is glomming on to the veteran business community with the Veterans Chamber, and of course he's got a military affairs office, and so they're kind of the people that are taking point, and he shows up, where he's needed, when he's needed. Like we just had the Veterans Business Expo here in Houston, so he showed up on Saturday for that. Of course,
Yep.
we're in an election cycle too, so there's a lot of people running for mayor. Of course, the American Legion, we have to be careful with the politics and all that kind of stuff, but I haven't seen us get in trouble with that anywhere.
Well, another hardship we have here, we're in Huntsville. We don't have our own press. There's no news people. There's no news station. Everybody that gives Huntsville or 2/3 of the cities out here are coming out of Houston. Like it took a fire at one of the Huntsville prisons to get a reporter out here. It takes an escape to get a news team out here. We don't have our own. So, learning how do you start making friends with the news people that actually cover us that do travel here when it's a non-emergency, that would be a good thing to learn, I think.
Now, do y'all have community Facebook pages? Like when I post things, I'm posting
We
to.
do, and I belong to all of them. And I have a top contributor badge on 5 of the 7. So I'm working that part. It's just getting media attention we're struggling with because again, Walker County, we're way out here in the nowhere. We're all lower end, income is lower. It's not a high profile area, really, literally, unless a prison catches on fire or we get an escapee. And I can't really, and it's funny, I work for the TDCJ communications department. I'm actually part of the inmate tablet program. I am a behind the scenes admin type. When reporters and press are coming, I'm not part of the media crew. I don't run TDCJ cameras. Our director does the interviews. I'm not invited on site. So I can't risk my job and getting in trouble to try to get a business card. So, tactics. Tactics would be good.
Well, that's where your Marine training comes into play.
Look, bullying the mayor works here, but I can't bully the press. That's stuff they put in writing. So
Now, is K-Star still around? Because I've been having emails bounce from K-Star.
K-Star, I don't know. I haven't listened to them in a while. I had an email come back when I just tried to send them a month ago, our latest event. I'm not sure what's going on there. But what is it, Lisa? I think, no, that's K-Star out of Houston, the morning show, Lisa. I don't know her last name, but I email with her. She shares all our events and she's been announcing them online and I hear them all the time because I stream that radio station. I also, KSAM and The Lake, which are local radio stations here to Huntsville, they put everything on the radio for us all the time. You can hear them weeks in advance if I'm early enough. So they do a great job helping us. And then we have this little tiny out of my garage radio guy called the Navasota News, but he has a wide morning show following. And he does his radio station more like a podcast. So people in his area can stream him. He shares everything we're doing too. So I'm doing good that way. It's just that one step up. Getting a news reporter one time to our post for a bigger event will be amazing. We do the Fall Fest, and then in April, we do a crawfish boil. Those are our big community awareness events. We do a bunch of other stuff too, but those are the big, we pull permits, open to the public events.
Well, one thing we can look at doing is we can submit articles ourselves, so we can be our own reporters, and it makes their job a whole lot easier when they're limited. And of course, they can tweak it to their liking. However, now, do you get KSBJ in your area? Because they're like out of Humble, but they have a big area. I'm sorry.
We might. I don't know. I know I've listened to them, but I didn't know where they were out of. I will look into that. If I can add them to my contacts, I'll be happy to do so.
So we're working with John Hostler. He's the sales guy there, but he's supporting the chamber, but he's supporting vets as well. So like I said, as we build up our database and our areas of like, here's, where we can make a support, then we'll be able to like leverage. So Hearst Media, for example, I'm not sure that's nationwide, right? So they have Culture Map. And so Culture Map, you can put your event on. And so people looking for places to go and do things, it's free for nonprofits. They want a 2-week window. So we'll start getting a list of all these places. I suggested Meetup because, people looking to go network or whatever, each post could have their own account, and even the division could has its accounts for its events, right? Our events, should we say. And I like your idea of using WhatsApp. We could probably create one for our PR team. So as we're sharing what's happening at your post, that may be something we can help boost. Just if I have a link, then it's something I can share online, or as we build up our Facebook pages and all that too. Because the best practice is when you send a press release out or you send a post out, usually there's a follow-up phone call to make sure they got it, because they're seeing things. So a lot of these admins for these different Facebook page, they're kind of like reporters too. So you can say, hey, we'd like to invite you to our next post meeting so we can introduce you. like Krennic Printing. They do all the HOAs here in Houston, so they actually ran an a story that John sent me the media alert for the honor flight reception we had a couple of Saturdays ago, and they took that simple media alert and they actually did a full story on a Katy veteran. I didn't know who this vet was, but they did the research, they found him and did a story on him, and then we took that link and we pushed it out on all the social media. So they loved when we did that. Of course, showing appreciation too, because a lot of times, people don't come back and say, "Hey, thank you for running that article," so that they're people too, right? So that's how I met Susan. And when she would post something, give her a thank you. We also have like an award. So borrowing from, I'm reading the Napoleon Bonaparte story, but he was the guy that
That's awesome.
created, the ribbons we wear.
Yes.
He
He
created
created the
those.
merit ribbons. Yes. We
So
actually, but we do in our post. Well, I say we, no one really was doing, there wasn't a me before me. It was very haphazard. So I'm building our media program because just I want to, and I'm motivated by it, and I like serving that way. And what I started doing was just every quarter, I print our own certificates of appreciation, and I ask our PEC for some $25 gift cards. And I do that. I just send out a quarterly a certificate and a gift card. Just thank you from Post 95. And I cite all of our entities on there, and I have all of our officers sign it. It's small time, I know, but it's a start. We don't
oh
we
no,
don't have
that's
a whole lot of
wonderful.
money, but we can do that. And now that I'm part of Text Output and I know how to nominate for awards, I'll be able to do that this year for 2 of our radio stations and our little Walker County Reporter newspaper. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there and trying to get some other posts to get on board. But that's our commander's challenge. We it's a district challenge. It's not just a post challenge. It's a district challenge.
Well, I'm
But
glad
we're
we're
working on
recording
it.
this. This will be good information for others. Now, are you also like finding your replacement? So like 2 or 3 people that can, when you get ready to take on bigger and better challenges, they can kind of step into your footsteps.
What I started doing was our junior auxiliary president, Ashlyn, she just turned 13. And I want to do what I'm doing. I said I want to be our adjutant, and I want to do this for our post. I want 3 years. I want to slowly come up into district and slowly come into department. I want to have actual knowledge with me. And I'm not in a big hurry. I literally just got to Texas and I'm still setting roots, so to speak. So this is, I have a plan for Ascension for me. Miss Lynn Sparks, Mr. Butch Sparks, they got some sneak peeks on it. we know we're grooming me for things, and I'm not in a hurry. I love my post. My post is home, and I love it. But yes, I'm grooming our junior auxiliary president because she's 13. She's all about the phone and the iPad and the TV and all of this, all the media stuff. All the kids are doing it, and I started having her shadow me. She can do videos. She's learning to write a little bit of descriptive content with me. I've had her sit with me and get in and out of our website where she can upload a photo if I can't, or she can change a calendar out. So that's what I did. I picked our juniors. And then in terms of an equivalent as in another Legionnaire, we have some very promising new members that came this year that have a little bit more of an IT background. So I'm hoping by the end of this year to have someone else to start morphing up to so I can get some help. Yes.
So do you have like a screen recording software where you can record like some of the stuff you do? And if you do, then again, part of what I talked about earlier is doing these little modules for this is how you can use this technology, to do websites. And it didn't have to be a long, it just be a little 3 to 5 minute.
Just kind of video what I'm doing while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I don't think I have any on this PC, but I can sure add one.
Well, I'll
sure I
share
can
some
find
resource.
one.
I use Screencast-O-Matic, and it's a yearly
Okay.
subscription. And that's what I'll be using to do some of these tutorials, and then also use some video and sound editing software.
Okay.
And so now I can do my voice work. I just invested in this condenser mic. It's like $31 on Amazon. And a buddy of mine helped me to get it working, got a power supply and all that. So we'll be able to narrate like our own commercials and all that. We do have some support here in Houston for our commercials. So if you have a commercial you want recorded, then we can, I can record it, or we can get the voice work. And then our friend at KCV will create it. And if it's a Houston story, then he'll run it for free, basically, or get us the commercial. Then you could take it to another radio station that could run it, or a podcaster. Even you mentioned the podcaster friend.
Yeah,
So
we've a commercial that is way too big time.
they're easy,
um,
30
but
seconds, 60-second. Yeah.
well, what
We're gonna
we
teach all this stuff, by the way.
that makes it less intimidating. I do our Hello Huntsville podcast. I'm a guest every quarter, usually the last month of the quarter. I'm a Friday morning guest. And I've had 3 appearances so far. The first one was kind of a general, who are we in the neighborhood? Then the second one was kind of all about the Legionnaires. And that actually got us 3 new members. And then the third time I did it, it was all about, what our auxiliary and our sons do. So when we go on again, which will be by the end of the year, I basically will get to recap, the good that are, what your Legion has done in your community, kind of like an end of year press release. And the podcast is easy. I also really want to launch a YouTube channel. I have been watching, and the Legion posts that use YouTube, the clicks and likes they get, the graphic interactions, the monthly statistics of visitation and people that are actually not just signing in, but subscribing up are impressive. They definitely beat the crap out of 1,000 clicks a month on a website. So that is something that I want to launch too. So I'm going to need some kind of tool like that anyway.
Yeah, I'll send you the
And
link
on our
on that.
YouTube, yep. And I want to do it with our chaplain, because Chaplain Richard Hendrickson is amazing with the words. He's amazing with the rightful share and the right message. And he reaches so many people just on his monthly messages that he puts on our websites and Facebook. So he and I want to launch a YouTube and start making episodes by just engaging random members and random officers, kind of like to build a catalog, our first 5 or 6. It's just getting the time and getting everybody tabled to say, okay, this month on this day in this room, we're doing our first one. So I don't know if you use YouTube or if you have thoughts and feels, but I would like to learn more about capitalizing on that.
Yeah. So while you're doing that, you want to use TikTok and Instagram as well, because you can output the videos, and that goes
I
after
already do them. Yes.
millennials, Gen Zers. But I would also name it. I would brand it. Name it after your post podcast. And then
Okay.
we're looking at doing a podcast with potentially with Butch Sparks or whoever the talking head's going to be. I'm nominating Butch, but you can have a segment of news, what's going on, a little bit of history with the American Legion history, and then a profile maybe of your members, a little bit about their background. So you can format that into a nice, neat package. But with the last 3 shows you were on, if you can ask them for the MP3 or the video, then I can create okay, if you would send that to me, I can create a channel, and then all those can loop. And so
No
someone
way.
wants to sit around, yeah.
That's awesome.
So we can create
Okay, we can do that.
our own little media network, right? So second division, and then start to cycle news from the front. And so same thing with your phone. It's got a
That's
recording device on it. So if you have an event, you just do a quick message, type it out, everything that you want it to say. And then if you can send me the audio, then that's something we can help leverage with our SoundCloud account. So
If I do Instagram Reels a lot.
we may have you do some tutorials. We'll talk about Instagram, and you and your assistant.
I'm learning as I go.
There you go.
I'm learning as I go.
Well, they say if you ever want to learn something, you teach it, because it becomes more ingrained, right? So,
Right.
John, did you want to say anything, or Lynn, did you have any questions?
No, I'm just taking it all in.
What a breath of fresh air, Roxanne. So this is exactly the type of dialogue that we want to have in this cross promotion. People, especially with the WhatsApp, because then people can still continue to hey, I found out this resource or whatever, and we start building up our database. Now, John, you've been. Go ahead.
And if anybody like WhatsApp, I'm still trying to really understand. Is it just another chat, kind of like Facebook Messenger?
We got Telegram. Some people use Telegram. Some are using WhatsApp. So it really gets down to like the chamber, the Veterans Chamber. They have about 250 members, but they're using Telegram. And so it archives, and you create subgroups with it. So you might have someone that might be on your team, right? So you can have your subgroup for your post. What's that for me? I'm using it on Facebook ads. So it'll people can use it, I guess, when they're responding to the ad. And so that's another thing that we can showcase is how to do a Facebook ad, by zip code. A little boost would help. Now we are We are also talking to theater advertising. There's a gentleman that I talked to yesterday. He represents 3 of the majors like AMC, Cinemark. And so what I'm going to need at some point is a complete database of all the posts so they can map it out, so they can correlate that map over to where their theaters are to see who would benefit the most from doing. And it's not just theater like big screen, but they also do smart. They do geotagging, so you could actually pop
Ooh.
up an ad and some of the stuff, is for the views you get. It's not necessarily that expensive per se, but it is a commitment. But some of it, since we're a nonprofit, they can give us like a 2-for-1, kind of like what KSBJ did for us on the chamber. We bought some spots, but then they gave us some extra spots, and then they traded out a membership in exchange for those spots as well. So it's all in how you negotiate some of this stuff.
I have a question. So to create that map, you said you have to build a database. Can you get that information off of the Blue Book for all the posts?
Well, what I'd need it probably is in a spreadsheet, like the street address, the cities, this of course state is Texas and zip code. And then once I have that on a spreadsheet, it can be loaded to a software. And then the software
Well,
will
wouldn't you need the street address as well?
yes. And the
Okay.
post name. So that
So
it
you
would
need-
populate, the software would populate, and we may have somebody that has that software that could do it for us, but they're going to
Well,
ask.
I think you might check with Bill West because he may have that.
Okay, great. And I think the theater guy said he could do it as long as we gave him the list. Bill West, okay.
But he's not, I don't know if he's back from Indy yet because they were up there for the fall meeting. So you might wait till next week because they're, when they do get home, they're busy for a couple of days.
Now, I do have a question for you, Roxanne. So what do you think is going to be relevant to, so I'm Boomer X. I'm 58. Millennials are,
That's me. I'm 50.
so millennials are 46. The oldest one I think is 46. Youngest is what? I mean, the next that's veteran age is 23, maybe 24. So how do you think we can reach them to become members?
That is the $1 million question. And that question is really why I got the permission a year ago to just start getting us on social media, and just, on the older generation who doesn't get it and doesn't want to. Really, literally, it was to attract younger veterans and younger enlisted personnel. And the social media is working. It takes time to build momentum. You have to be out there all of the time, enough of the time that when they're scrolling in the area and you pop up as a resource in however they searched, that you have something to offer that is eye-catching and attention-grabbing for them. Since we've launched it, we have attracted 7 members that are active National Guard under 30. We've attracted 10 members that are Desert Storm, Desert Shield, my generation veteran, so Gen X, and 3 of those 10 actually brought a wife and then a son and a daughter. And in the mix there, we've gotten some grandkids as juniors. So it's working, but what I'm learning is I have to be fierce. I have to be always about it. I have to be constant. I have to take random evenings in the post when nothing's going on and just throw it on, as a 3-minute reel or a 2-minute live, just so you can see live happening here. We're not just a place to go a couple times a year when we're doing an event that I'm featuring. You have to aggressively work it. And aside from that, honestly, I don't know. I mean, maybe the American Legion needs to be in a video game. I mean, I don't know how you get us a plug in Call of Duty or, Gears of War or Steam. I don't know how we do that, but maybe that's a room to grow we need to talk about. Almost all the veterans around me, whether they're in their 20s or, my and your generation, they're still gamers. We got a ton of veterans that are gaming. And it's healing a lot of PTSD. And I get it. I played Call of Duty and it's freaking awesome. But I feel like if we can't get in that, I don't know what's left. That's what I got.
Okay, so I have a millennial. Well, actually, she reminded me she's Gen Z. She's 23, and of course, I read a book called Discovering Gen Z, and it was written by a pastor trying to understand that generation a little bit better. And the profile, they're 52% of the market now, basically for
Yeah.
practical purposes in general. So their parents, 46-year-old, 30 to 46, their parents, their kids are in school. And what I've observed primarily is, they've got active lifestyles. They're at the 5Ks, they're at the car shows, they're at the flea markets, the co-ops. They've got a career, maybe starting a business. So a lot of times, we have these posts that we could have networking events, trade shows, speakers, working with the chambers to kind of build those relationships. So as we start to get to know, even as you're talking, I could see having like a game competition, once a month where you bring the best in. And I know I ran into one of our guys. He has the PTSD group or the military trauma group, and he had a CUDA. He's I guess Vietnam. I don't know if he's Vietnam era, but he had the same car since he was 17. He had like $100,000 into it. I said, well, Kerry, I said, as you're out and about, I said, look for other vets that have classic cars or cars that they are proud of and start a veteran car show. So he did that. And I think he had like 10 or 15 cars already. And so now it's a resource I have to talk to Kerry to see where he's at now, to see if they're doing any events, fundraising events or, just community events, right? Just showcasing what they have. So again, as we get to know what the other posts are doing, I think we're going to glean good ideas that can work. Now, I did have somebody donate some games, but these were all old school strategy games, board games. And these probably were collector's items, but I don't know whatever happened with those games. It's just a retired colonel gave them to me all. I said, okay, well, let me see if Kerry could use them, but I don't think they were able to use those. But I think the more advanced technology games, they might, something to consider. John, you've been quiet taking all this in. You want to say a few words?
Well, like you said, I am just kind of taking it in. I'm none of those. I'm 74 years old, so I'm a real old guy, I guess, in the mix of things, and I'm just trying to. I mean, I've never been a big Facebook guy. In fact, I had an account and then I closed it. Didn't even open it up for years because I didn't get it. I didn't like all the advertising and all the stuff that goes with it. So, but since the Post has a Facebook account, now I have to get back into it, and I'm sort of kind of trying to feel my way around and see how it's done and what I need to know to make best advantage of it. I think you made some suggestions, and I don't know whether the Post Commander is going to go along with it because you can use the zip code idea to get some Legion advertising onto the local Facebook pages. I think that's a great idea, but it does cost money. So,
Yep.
I've been testing like $35 ads for myself, like in a 7-day period.
Right.
I want to say I reach about 10,000 people, but I'm not necessarily going after vets. I'm going after business owners, for my own personal ads. So that, comes out to like 38 cents a click. So you get the visibility and you only pay when they click. And you would hope that if you're targeting vets, that when they click, they're actually a vet, but you have to send them to a website that's already kind of designed that has maybe a welcome video or something to convert that click over into a purchase, right?
You're actually speaking Greek to me when you talk about all that, because it's so far above what I'm familiar with, what I'm comfortable with at this point. Even Roxanne was talking about stuff that I thought that was pretty good. That she's pushing those kinds of things, but we've not at 164. We've not done anything like that. We don't have much. I guess since you left, we don't have much of a PR program going on at all. Although we do have, as I understand it, the website gets a lot of outside views. It's not limited to the Post members. And I guess the same is true of the Facebook page.
And that's one thing we could do is create a video that's on so I see a lot of websites, and there's no like video brief, a little 30-second, 60-second brief that says, hey, thank you for being on our website. If you're a veteran, we'd like to meet you. We have our meetings, something that's beyond just me having to read stuff, right? And then, of course, also seeing a phone number at the very top of the page with a call now. So whoever receives that call has to be a person that's monitoring that call. Otherwise, people call, and if no one answers, they hang up, right? And then, of course, a lead magnet. I'll send a little podcast that I did on some of this stuff because I've got my own little modules I'm breaking out for people. But talk about the Facebook ad. That's something that I can record to show you how I do an ad, how I boost it, how I set a budget, how I get my demographics, and that really takes less than 3 to 5 minutes. And then once I boost it, it's out there, and I'm able to track it to see what kind of results I've gotten from it. But right now, I'm just testing.
Well, I've gone on our post website, a Facebook page a few times, and they just recently gave me access to it to post on it. And I noticed when they did that, and I noticed that Facebook actually, when you're on that page as an administrator even with limited privileges, it says, you can boost this ad. This is what it costs. So Facebook is advertising to us.
Yeah, we just got to figure out whose credit card is attached to before you run the ad. It does
Yes.
30-day billing.
Yes.
No,
So and I've seen that, and I'm it's not something I'm going to get into at this point because
What I'll say on that is we had when I came on board in 2021, that's when I relocated here. We had just it was what they call classic Facebook, right? The old version. And it was really just the motorcycle riders running amok. It didn't have a point or purpose. It didn't have boundaries and permissions set. No one was really monitoring language and public image. It was just riders gone amok. And so I killed it. And when I relaunched with new Facebook, which gives us the Meta Suite, which is incredible, really, I did a Facebook page which is 100% open to the public and 100% limited. Only myself and 2 other officers can post on our Facebook page. We use the Facebook page really as a mini website. That was how I started teaching myself before we built the actual website. I started with the new Facebook page. And we kind of ran it like you would a website. You share important details, you share events. We featured legislative changes. Our chaplain does this post every so often. And when all of our members were comfortable going there and we started collecting followers, then I launched a Facebook group. That one is for members only, and you have to be approved to join it. So we have a handful of public interaction on there, and then all of our members. And what the group site did was give everybody who was used to getting to share themselves a place to do that, where I can safely monitor and make sure it doesn't affect our public image. So there is that. You can start thinking of Facebook, as a quick website, a mini website. You can share the same. It's interactive, almost the same. It has permissions that are really great now that they've updated. And for me, it was a really good way to break into the next step of getting a web builder and making a website. So I don't know if that's helpful to you or not, but it definitely was helpful for me.
Well, again, sounds interesting.
Again, we'll do a tutorial on this as well. Even as you're talking, Roxanne, I could see us doing a landing page for each event. Like we have the trick or treat coming up, John. You and I'll collaborate on that. We'll get a landing page up. We have videos from last year, and we can make it sizzle, make it look pretty, and tie it back to our Facebook page, and use that link to share on all the different social media. Now that brings me to a point.
Yes, sir.
There's 200.
No, I was just.
Go ahead.
Well, I just so I just did a media release for the Halloween thing that they're doing on the 28th, and we also did a distribution to the post members looking for volunteers. But what I haven't done at this point is put anything up on the Facebook page.
Okay, so I'll support you on my end. We'll get that posted, and then
Right.
I'll get it out to Clinic Printing, and I'll give you the list too. I need to send you the contact list for the Katy area. So the Facebook pages that I use, the media contacts for Katy, and support that.
Yeah, well, I did send it out to to Katy Times and one other uh, 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 local newspaper, local news site.
Yeah, we have Katy Times,
And
Katy News, Katy Magazine, Katy Christian Magazine. We got the different veterans in Katy
yeah,
groups. Yeah. So as we build up this database, I think it's going to be useful by region. Oh, just to keep in
and
mind
I
too,
think
there's 250 social media for business right now. It's probably growing. So there's more to life. I say there's more to life than Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So there's some other new social media that we could probably use 10 or 15. Have you been using LinkedIn, Roxanne?
I use LinkedIn for me on a professional level. Just it's I'm learning and watching the American Legion's LinkedIn, and I just started thinking about changing my landing page a little bit and doing more because I realized that I can cross share. I can take things from Instagram, I can take things from Facebook, and it can talk to it. It's new for me. I'm used to it being just our site for professionals, right? Link to the companies you're interviewing with. It didn't occur to me to use it as a modern tool like media, but I am seeing more and more that a lot of companies are, and I want to do it. I want to up my game and start using LinkedIn also.
Yeah, I started using it last year. A buddy of mine busted me. He's like, Andy, you haven't posted on LinkedIn in a year. I said, okay, I'm in marketing. I should be posting there. Yes. And then there's some platforms like Hootsuite and HubSpot and others where you can bring all that under one dashboard, but I haven't really done a lot of research in it myself.
Okay.
So who knows, maybe if we get a master account, maybe there could be sub accounts or something that we could use.
That would be cool.
Okay, so right now the focus is upcoming Veterans Day, and then of course Wreaths Across America. Anything else?
Marine Corps birthday.
Oh yeah, Marine Corps birthday, November 10th. How can we leave that out?
Don't worry. We'll start a week ahead. We will take
There
over
you-
all the media. It's what we do.
Oh, and are you familiar with Henry's Farm?
No.
So it's near Conroe. It's a equine therapy. I forget how many
Oh, I
horses.
have been seeing pop-ups for him, and he actually has an Instagram reel, and I meant to try to find him and had forgot. So I'm glad you said that. It would probably be a really good thing to go meet him one of these weekends. That, and we also have a veterans canine program around here. It veterans training dogs for veterans kind of a thing, and they're more towards Houston, but it's just I only have so much time, so like I have to work. This girl is broke. She works a full-time job,
Yeah.
so it's when I can fit in all my other things is what I'm doing in my free time, and it's just making the time. Another good reason why it should never be only one of us trying to do all of the things. I definitely should have a partner in crime. I would love to get one of our retired legionnaires and have them do that field work, where they have availability during the week to take a drive with the wife and do some meet and greet. And I'm wanting to talk to our service officer. That's who I'm thinking of engaging. I mean, do you have thoughts on that?
I'm sorry, taking who?
Our service officer, every post is supposed to have a service officer.
Yeah.
And to me, that seems like the perfect person to be hey, I just saw this veteran in our area on TikTok. Here's the information. Go make a friend. I'm thinking of using them as the partner that I don't have.
Yeah. Wherever you can get partners.
Right,
right now,
right.
slim pickings, right? It's like, hey,
Yes.
I'm a partner on this and partner on that already, but that's okay. But so like for me, I do a lot of networking. So I see people that aren't necessarily with the American Legion. Like I don't say they have to be with the American Legion, but they're always
No.
at these events taking pictures. So then they can send me pictures since I can't physically be at that event or couldn't make it. They'll send me photos, and so they're usually happy to help. But if they are not a veteran or whatever, they don't join the American Legion. But there's people already doing a lot of massive networking, and you can co-op their stuff by permission, right? Say, hey, I see you're out there doing stuff. Do you mind if I use your pictures? Like Honor Flight, they gave me permission to use their pictures in the past. In fact, John actually gave me reason to come out and cover this Saturday, because one of my guys with the Marine Corps League, Scott Mosley, was one of the Honor Flight recipients. And so now I'm working on a video for the American Legion for the district to tell a bigger story, because it was really an incredible reception.
Yes,
I didn't know you were on the Marine Corps League. We have a branch in Conroe that meets one Thursday a month. And I have a standing invite to go hang out with those gentlemen. I just haven't got there yet. That's a little far from home after work, but it wouldn't hurt my feelings to do it once or twice. I guess that's something else we could talk about, right? It's engaging not only our other posts, but whoever we find around us, right? That's really what it comes down to. Finding the veterans doing the things.
Yeah, I serve with as a PR advisor to Tina Lockhart. She's with the state of the Marine Corps League. And so what I'm doing with the American Legion, I'm also going to teach them. It's like, okay, you guys need to build up your PR function for what you do. So a lot of this it'll serve two purposes, but yeah, so we're getting our communications up for the Marine Corps League as well to reach vets. So I was talking to Lynn earlier, everyone has a reason for what they do. And, usually you can create an avatar, like who's your ideal vet, and that person may have just gotten out or been out 10 years. And one's interesting statistic is, if you can get a vet volunteering when they're in their 30s and 40s, they're going to continue to do that all the way up into their 60s, where most people get involved with the American Legion when they're in their like late 50s and 60s, because then they say, well, I'm getting ready to retire or whatever. But thankfully my
we have a lot to do before then.
Yeah, my exo got me volunteer when I was 22, so I've always volunteered on stuff. Oh, here we got Butch Sparks coming. Butch is joining us.
Yay!
Commander.
I can tell. Ooh.
How you doing, Butch? He's got himself on mute here.
Here, let me go. Let me go square him away.
Yes, ma'am.
There he goes. He's on. Can you hear us?
Awesome.
I did it. Sorry for the late join there, Andy. I've been on another Zoom meeting for long range planning.
Okay, well, hopefully ours was more fun. But you had a great time.
You've got post 95 and 164 and 319 represented. John Longer's on bonus now, looking like a Matt Dillon over there, or actually a White Earth.
Well, the other night I was on my other computer, and that the equipment didn't work very well. So
oh yeah, he was dressed like he was a green man from Halloween.
Yeah. So now I'm on my cell phone. I'm trying to get that other equipment fixed.
So these are the only people that showed up, Andy?
Yes, sir. Some people were traveling, and we're recording this so that way we can output it, because we did cover a lot of useful ground that's very informative. Roxanne is incredible. Did I get the name right, Roxanne?
I'm a hot mess, but I'm learning as I go, and I'm just really about what I'm doing. And I think, that's something else. I feel like we're the last generation standing that actually has a passion and a care to serve our country and care what happens to her. All of the veterans coming in behind us, and then the new 18 to 20 somethings, if they're enlisting, and not a lot of them are. Everything is, what are you doing for me? What are you handing to me? They aren't cut from what we're cut. So one thing that I did do that was long overdue is I used the muster we had at our Hearts Museum in September to reconnect with our Sam Houston State University's ROTC program. And I thought, okay, this is how you start right away. Take what we have, our infectiousness, our care, our love of being American, share some of the Americanism and patriotism, share the pillars, and get it in their head now. So when they go through their program and deploy and come back home, they're more likely to want to keep the momentum going, right? And then the only other thing I've been trying to do, and it's hard because they're deployed a lot, our National Guard. Texas is huge on National Guard. We have an armory here, and we have a lot of guardsmen that volunteer at the museum. So I'm thinking between ROTC reconnection and if I can get someone at the armory to return just one phone call, then that's a bridge we can use too. Those are all active duty gentlemen deploying intermittently.
Do you
And
know?
that's
Roxanne, I had a suggestion too with your ROTC units. You can use them with their honor guards when you have different events. And then also my post usually buys the medals for them each year. So that's just a way
Ooh.
of getting your American Legion out there in their eyes.
Okay.
Because you get them young before they go on their service, they're more apt to come back and do things for the Legion later.
Yep.
Do they have, Roxanne, do they have a veterans group at Sam Houston State?
They have a veterans center, and it is not good. In the 2 years that I've been active in the Legion and moving here, Butch, they have gone through 7 program directors. They don't work their veteran center for their veterans. I've done everything I can do. I've even had the last 2 be guests of mine and do lunch and be at an event at the post, and there's just nothing. They're not engaging the veterans on their campus in that center. It's not working right. I've asked probably everyone I can ask, done staff and faculty outreach that I can do for names and phone numbers, and just to try to build the momentum to get in the center and visit, to get even just information on their bulletin board. And it seems like every time we get a contact, it's only a handful of months later, there's no one again. So what I did instead was go after the Greek life. I have fraternity.
Do they have a students veterans association meeting at Sam Houston State?
No, sir, they don't. They simply just have the Veterans Resource Center. There is almost nothing else going on there. It's all about the Greek life. So I've been networking really hard this year to connect with the sorority and the fraternity Greek administrators, the house moms and dads. And as a result of that, we have 11 sorority members and 7 frat members coming out to help as volunteers on our Halloween event that's coming up. And that's really more because we can sign off on the service hours some of them need, but it's still a connection, and some of them have veterans in their families. So I'm hoping to get some momentum going there.
Well, I know you guys are working hard at 95.
We sure are, sir. We are trying.
And I'm going to put you to work again next year.
Bring it. I am in love with getting to fill my free time doing this. It's a way to stay in service. Like I was saying earlier, I have all my body parts. I have all my cognitive facilities. The PTSD damage I have, the combat damage that I have is on a nothing scale compared to so many other veterans around me, and that I can be upright and cognitive and put in this hard work on their behalf. That's more service than you ever could hope for in a positive and perfect way. I would rather be busy this way. It's healthy. It's helping me get healthy. Every time you do one more thing, I think, or one more thing, or we helped one more person, or we had one more new face at a meeting, that's one more thing I'm harboring that I'm getting to let go, right? So I don't think of it as glorification or heroism, or I don't even really need recognition. I just use it as a tool to keep me being my best self, and that seems to be what's infectious. I wish I knew how to teach that. I wish that fire we could get roaring from our post all the way up through division. And I didn't know how, but I wish we could.
Well, Roxanne, there's a lot of satisfaction when you're helping other people.
Yes, ma'am.
Found it. So.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's a lot of dissatisfaction when you try to help them and they run over you with a truck. So, I mean, I'm just kidding. But you guys are doing well.
And I have one question for Roxanne. Did you get the email that I sent about the convention?
I might have, Miss Lynn. How long ago did you send it?
A day or two after we saw you.
I think I do, and
Okay.
I think I owe you a response response, and I need to send you the list of hotels in our area. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, I'm really excited for the first edition of this Zoom call. But we're going to schedule these regularly and then invite more members and also open up the lines of communication with like Telegram or WhatsApp for those that are in the PR role in growing our legacy, that the person that's our replacement sometime in the future as we grow our team. So I recorded this to share the discussion with others that couldn't be here, but they can also share with their post as well, because there's going to be some good best practices, some tutorials we're putting together, kind of showing what other folks are doing, and then also communicating, what's coming up on the horizon as we get ready for Veterans Day, Marine Corps birthday. I didn't leave that out, Lynn, and Reach Across America and other events that the American Legion supports and other groups. And so thank you all for attending this first inaugural. Though there were just a few of us, we did definitely cover a lot of ground, and I'm excited to see what we're going to produce out of this as we go forward into 2024. So thank you so much for tuning in, and catch us on the next edition of Second Division American Legion Zoom call. Go ahead.
Thank you,
Andy.
Andy.
Thank you,
Thank
Andy.
you.
All right. Thank you.
Take care,
Bye.
guys.
Good
Good night.
night, everybody.
Thank you. This was awesome, and I'm supercharged, even more excited now, and I'm really thankful for the time this evening. So thank you, Andy. And Ms. Lynn, just thank you. This is awesome. We need this.
Awesome. Thank
This is
you.
growth.
Have a good night.